So, all right. So, as I can see, someone are newly joined today. First, let me introduce myself. I am Divya. I have about 7.6 years of experience into data analytics, and I completed my master's in data science. And I have about 4+ years of experience into trainer in data analytics. So, I have experience in teaching all the data science concepts like a SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Python, statistics, and machine learning. So yeah, this is about me. And yesterday, yesterday was my first demo class. I suggest you to please watch yesterday's video so that you can get idea about. If you are completely new to SQL, I suggest you to watch that video. Yesterday, I just discussed about what is database, what is the importance of SQL, what is database, and how we will store the data in the table, and what is SQL. Okay. And could you please let me know, like, is anyone here is having, are anyone from non-IT backgrounds, and are you completely new to SQL? Nilesh, could you please tell me, do you have any prior knowledge on SQL, or are you completely new to SQL?
Never had a knowledge on SQL, but then have a rough ideas in a day to day we work on that. So
Okay.
not much of an idea, but then yes, learned it way long back, the
Okay.
basics. But then yeah.
All right, no problem. And what about you, Rakesh and Sweta?
I'm new to
Yeah,
SQL.
hi Divya.
Hi, Sweta. Hi.
I'm Shweta Gaikwad and I have completed my master's from microbiology.
Okay.
I am completely new to SQL, switching my career to data analytics.
Okay, great. So, Rakesh, as I can hear you, you also said you're new, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I guess Altaf and Hakim attended yesterday's session, if I'm not wrong. What about you, Satish Kumar?
I joined yesterday also.
Okay, great. All right. Hi, Manoj Kumar. Is this your first class attending a SQL?
No. Yesterday I just attended the class.
Okay, fine. I didn't remember the names. That's the reason I'm asking. And the main reason why I'm asking you about, are you completely new to SQL? Is that if anyone is from the non-IT background and anyone is looking forward to transit your career into IT background, you should learn a SQL. SQL is, I can say, it is a backbone for complete IT industry and especially for data science or data analytics. And if anyone is from non-IT background, it's up to you. It's up to your interest. You can choose your domain. But if you are interested in choosing data analytics domain, I suggest that would be the best option, because for data analytics, basically what it happens, data analytics is, our data science is the only field which is used in every domain. If you are from non-IT background and if you have your domain knowledge, you will have that particular domain knowledge, right? That will be helpful to you to transit your career. All right. As this is our SQL class, let's talk about SQL only. All right. So give me a second. I'll show you my screen. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your response. So yesterday I just explained you in yesterday's class, I just explained the complete basics of what database is and what SQL is. And to quickly revise, it's nothing but database is the collection of data where we will store all the data together. Okay. If we talk about any laptop or systems, what we will do if we want to store any data, generally we will have some drives like D drive, E drive, like that. Inside the drive, let me write it here. We will have some drives. Inside the drive, we will create some folders, and inside the folders, we will create some files, and we will save the photos or anything. Correct? So in the same way, if we want to store the data in the form of databases, what it happens, there will be something called as schemas. We can represent it as a drive. Okay, as how we will manage our memory, RAM memory in. We will divide that RAM memory into the drives, right? In our laptops, like that, we will have something called as schema. Schema is nothing but the collection of databases. Inside the drive, as how we will create the folders, inside the schemas, we will create the databases. Okay, and inside the databases, we will store all our data in the form of tables. We will create tables inside the databases, and in those tables, we will store the data in the form of rows and columns. Basically, the tables. In the tables, we will store the data in the into rows and columns. For example, just see this. If this is the table, students table, students is my table name. This would be my table structure, and here the data is divided into. The table is divided into rows and columns. Give me a sec. See, this would be the table name, and horizontal part is called as a row and vertical part is called as column, right? So I have 3 columns here, that is student ID, student name, and age. And this is my data inside the table. This will be called as row. Like, this is my first row. The data inside the first row is 1, Raj, and 16. This is called as row, and it is also called as record. Okay. Record. And vertical part, this is called as column. Okay, so I have 3 columns here, right? This is how we will store the data in the table. I hope it's clear. And I hope this is also clear. If you're completely new, please watch yesterday's video. I explained very, I explain easily. I explain very detailedly by taking one example so that you can relate it with the real-time world. Okay. So basically in the database, it would be the collection of data. We will store all the data in the form of tables inside the databases. Okay. And SQL is nothing but it is a programming language used to communicate with the databases. As we are storing data in the databases, if we want to, extract the data, if we want to display the data, we need to tell our requirements to the database, right? Like, what I want to see, what is my requirement in that data. So to convey my requirements, I need to use some language to make database understand. Okay, that is nothing but SQL. It is a programming language basically used to communicate with the database, so that by using SQL only, we will tell all our requirements, or we will, ask what we required to the database. Okay, and what else, I guess. And if you can see, SQL is a universal language. It is declared as a universal language. That is nothing but a SQL is the full form of the SQL is structured query language. And it is declared as a universal language. We have a few, many products, as you can hear in the, in real time. you might have heard that we have Oracle SQL, SQL Server, MySQL, MongoDB, Amazon Redshift. Like that, we have many of the tools. That is basically nothing but those are different products available in the market. Okay, like if I talk about Oracle SQL and MySQL, these two products are from Oracle. SQL Server is a product from the Microsoft. Like that, these are all different products, but all this will use SQL only. So we need to learn only the SQL. Okay, we need to learn this language, and here in our course we are going to learn SQL with the help of MySQL tool. That's it. And the reason why we are choosing MySQL, why we are preferring to learn MySQL in the sense it is an open source platform. That means it is available free of cost. So if any companies wanted to maintain the MySQL, they don't need to pay anything to the Oracle. It is freely available. That's the reason most of the companies are preferring to use MySQL nowadays. Okay, that's the reason we are learning about MySQL only. Okay, this is what I explained in yesterday's class. As many of you are new, I just quickly repeated the thing which I have explained. But if you want to know a little more about this, please watch yesterday's video. Our admin team will send you the yesterday's demo link. You can check it in your mails. Okay, and with the help of SQL, what we can do, we can store the data, we can manipulate the data, and we can retrieve the data. These three things the three things will be done by using SQL. Okay, storing the data in the sense, of course, you can understand with the sentence, we will store the data. Manipulating the data in the sense, if we want to, once we store the data, if we want to make any changes in that data, like, if we want to change, if we want to update anything, if you want to make any kind of manipulations, which is called as changes, which we will see going forward very detailedly. So all those things can also be done in the SQL. And the third one is retrieving the data. Retrieving in the sense displaying the data. According to our requirements, if we want to display the data, according to our requirements, basically we will display the data. These three things will be done in the SQL. Okay. All right. So this is about yesterday's class. Now let's continue. Whatever I explained till now, is that clear for you, especially the newcomers today?
Yes.
Great. So, yes, Shweta. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can just ask me at any time, okay? And you can just unmute yourself and you can ask, or else you can even text the same in the chat. All right, so as we all know, we use databases to store the data only, correct? So not only databases, there are many formats, or there are many forms where we can store the database, correct? Like we can store the data in the form of Excel. We can store the data in the form of PDF, text file, like that. We have many formats, right? If I want, I can store the data in Excel also. Like that, I can store the data in databases also. So as these are all many forms of data, forms where we can store the data. So now in today's class, I wanted to discuss, if we already have Excel, if we can store the data in Excel, then what is the need of databases? That means we will see what is the limitations of Excel and how we are overcoming that limitations by using databases. Okay, let's discuss that quickly. And once it is done, I will show you the user interface of MySQL, and let's start creating some basic databases. Okay. Let's start discussing about limitations of Excel. As I said, we can store data in any format, right? Suppose I'm storing data in the Excel format. You all know this is an Excel file. And imagine that I'm storing the data of any of the e-commerce website. Okay, like e-commerce websites, instance maybe Amazon, Flipkart, like that. Okay, so This is my data. Basically, I have order ID, order date, customer ID, customer name, address, product ID, product name, price, supplier ID, supplier name, and manufacturer name. I stored some data in this format. Just imagine I have any e-commerce website. I will sell any products. Whenever I sell any product, order ID will be generated for that product, correct? So this will be my order ID. This will be my order date columns, and accordingly, will be my remaining data. Like I stored everything in the form of Excel. Order details, customer details, product details, and supplier details. I store everything in the form of Excel. Okay. So now let's see if we can store the data like this, what are the problems we are going to face? That means what is the limitations of the Excel? So any guesses? What could be the main problem we will face here? Okay, let me tell you the first problem will be like, we have a data limit. Data limit, that means we can store up to 1 million rows only in Excel file. As we all know, in real time, we will deal with big data. What if I want to store more than 1 million rows? I cannot store in the Excel file. We need some databases where we can store big data easily, right? So this will be the first limitation. We can store up to only 1 million rows in Excel. Okay, this is the first reason. And the second reason is that performance issue. Here I said we can store up to 1 million rows, right? If you can see in this example, I stored almost 8 rows only, correct? Basically, we will call this as rows. As you know, the horizontal lines, the data, how we are storing is in the form of rows, right? So here I stored only 8 rows. What if I store thousands of rows? As I said, we can store up to 1 million rows in the Excel file. But however, if we are increasing, or if we are storing lots of data in the Excel file, we will get the performance issue. That means if just imagine I stored some 10,000 records in this file, just to open that file, open that Excel file only, it will take some time to load the data. Whereas if I store some small data, it will just, whenever I'm trying to open the Excel file, it will just open very quickly. So as long, however, we are increasing the storage of data in the Excel file, we will get that much of performance issues. The first thing, it will take some time to even load the data. And, even when we want to see any particular data also, we need to apply so much of filters. It will leads to the performance issues, basically, okay? As the data size increases, performance goes down. Okay. If I store the small, some small rows, or if I store small data, that is fine. But as the data size increases, we will get the performance issues. Okay, that will be the second limitation. Okay, so this is our second limitation, and third limitation would be accessibility of data. As I said just now, accessibility of data in the sense, see, if we want to extract any particular data, for example, this is my complete data, but if I want to see any particular data, as I have only 8 rows here, I can, access the data very easily. If I have some thousands of rows, and if I want to see any particular data, we need to apply a lot of filters here to extract a particular data. So whenever we are dealing with the big data in the Excel, we will also face accessibility of the data problem. That means to see the exact data according to our requirement, if we want to extract the data from the big, whenever the data is big, if we want to extract any particular data, we need to, it will be a little bit difficult. Of course, you can extract it, you can see that particular data, but you need to apply a lot of filters. So accessibility of data will be it will be also, it will be also one of the challenge we will face whenever we are storing big data in the Excel forms. Okay. So this three would be, I can say, the basic problems which we will face in the Excel. But the most important and advanced problems is that I can say data redundancy. Okay, data redundancy. Data redundancy in the sense, repetition of the data. I can say repetition of the data. If you observe in this data, if you see the supplier names, I have only two supplier names here. That is Om Traders and AM Traders. But same name is repeating many times. If you can see Om Traders, I'm writing many times, right? Here also in manufacturer name, I'm writing Samsung many times. Correct? The problem here is the data. If we store the data in the form of Excel file, the data will be repeated. If we are writing, if we need to write the same data, the data is repeating many times. Just imagine, let's talk about Amazon. Okay. As I said, this will be the e-commerce data and I have only 8 orders here. But what if Amazon wants to store their data in the form of Excel? For example, let's take any product. If you talk about iPhone, on daily basis, Amazon will, sell many iPhones, thousands of iPhones, right? If they decided to store the data in the Excel, like in 1,000 rows, they need to write iPhone like that. Correct? That is called as data redundancy. Data redundancy in the sense, I can say repetition of the data. The data will be repeated in the Excel file. Okay. And due to the data redundancy, I can say we will face wastage of memory, correct? As the data is repeating again and again, it will affect our memory also, right? Here, as I'm storing the same data again and again, it's waste of memory only, right? Am I clear so far?
Yes, yes.
Great. So, how many limitations we discussed? We saw about 5 limitations, right? And one more limitation is that data integrity. Okay, before telling you about the next limitation, let's try to discuss something more about data redundancy. Here, in data redundancy, what I'm saying, I'm repeating the data again and again, right? So this is the problem we will face in Excel. To overcome this problem, what we will do in the databases, if we store data separately, we can, get rid of this problem. Just imagine if I can store the data like this. Let me write it here. I have customer ID, customer name, and address. Address in the sense customer address only. So I have 3 columns here, right? What if I'm just copying this data and I'm pasting it here. Okay. If I store customer data separately, you can imagine it as this is the customer data. This is the customer details will be Customer details is my another table, and I have 3 columns in it: customer ID, customer name, and address. As I'm storing customer details table at the bottom, no need of storing here, right? I will just remove it from here. Okay, but I'm keeping customer ID as it is. So in the same way, if I save this products details in a separate table. This will be my product details table, and I'm just copying the columns from the above and I'm pasting it here. This will be my products detail table, product ID, product name, and price. Okay, so I'm removing product name and price from here, and I'm keeping product ID as it is. Okay, in the same way, I will create one more table called as supplier details table. Okay, here what I will do, I will copy everything: supplier ID, supplier name, and manufacturer name. And I can store it like this. And I will remove supplier name and manufacturer name from here. If you can observe here, the data is repeating. I'm writing Samsung many times. I'm writing, the supplier names also many times, right? Here, what I'm doing, instead of storing my complete data in the, one table, I'm dividing the data into different tables. Here, I stored separate. I can say this is my base table. This is my customer details table, product details table, and supplier details table. If you observe, in the supplier details table, previously, if I'm storing S1, S2, S1, S1, S1 like this, I repeated the data many times. But here, as I am storing a supplier detail separately, no need of repeating again and again. Basically, we have only 2 suppliers, that is S1 and S2. This will be my supplier name and this will be my manufacturer name. Correct? In the same way, here what's happening? Basically, I am dividing the data into smaller table. I am dividing the complex table into smaller tables. We can call it, this concept is called it as normalization, where we will divide the data into smaller chunks, which we will discuss later in our class. But for now, just understand, I'm storing the big data. I'm dividing the big data into smaller tables. Okay. By doing this, what it is happening, we are overcoming this data redundancy problem. Previously, as you can see in the supplier, when I wrote it in the form of Excel file, I need to repeat the data. But if I store like this, I'm not repeating the data, but again, I can able to understand my, understand my complete data. If you can see here, if I say, what is the supplier name of order ID 4? How you can answer that? Here we have order ID and we have supplier ID as S1, right? If I ask what is the supplier name of order ID 4, simply we will see this row. We can understand supplier ID is 1. We will go to the supplier ID table and we will see for supplier ID 1, supplier name is Om Traders, right? So I can say for this order ID 4, supplier name is this one. We can even able to relate the tables. We can even able to answer the questions if we store the data like this also, right? But the only thing is that to relate it, to understand the data, we should maintain common columns between those tables. See, I have customer ID 1, customer ID column here, customer ID column here. So if I ask you what is the customer name of order ID 3, what will be our answer? What is the customer? Customer name of order ID 3 in the sense how we will do, how we will check? We will check customer ID for order ID 3. Our customer ID is C3. Then we will go to the customers table. We will see for the customer ID 3, the name is Nick, right? Am I clear to everyone? Is it understandable?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Understood.
Correct. So even if we store the data like this also, we can able to understand the complete data. The only thing is we need to maintain one common, we need to maintain the common columns between the table. If there is no customer ID here, I cannot relate this orders with the customers. There should be common column. So that's the reason I maintained a common column between every table. In products table, I kept product ID here and product ID here. In the same way, supplier ID, so that I can relate the data and I can understand the data accordingly, correct? So basically, this is how we will store the data in the form of databases. By storing the data in this form, we will get rid of this data redundancy problem, repetition problem. The data as I have only some columns here, but in real time, as we will deal with big data, we'll have many more columns. So by storing the data like this, what we can do, we can get rid of this repetition of the data problem. In some columns, the data can be repeated, but we will avoid it in most of the columns by storing the data like this. And this is how we will store the data in the form of databases. As I said, we will create tables inside the database, and in SQL, there will be multiple tables, and SQL is also called as RDBMS. That means Relational Database Management System. Okay. Relational Database Management System. Why we will call SQL as RDBMS? In the sense, we will store the data in the SQL in the form of tables, and we will store the data in the form of multiple tables, and we will relate all those tables with each other. As we relate all the tables with each other, we will call it as Relational Database Management System. How we are going to relate? With the help of common column, right? Now we are relating this table with this table. Basically, we are storing the data in many tables and we are relating those tables, correct? We need to maintain the common columns between the table, and we will relate the tables with each other. Going forward in our main concepts, we will understand everything very practically by using MySQL tool. But for now, just understand this is how we will store the data in the form of databases. And if we store the data like this, we can get rid of this data redundancy problem. Okay, I hope I'm clear.
Yes, it was clear.
Yes, ma'am. Little doubt here.
Yes, please.
As you have mentioned supplier details in a separate table, so how it is going to be relating with others? I mean, I feel it like there is insufficient data in that, in supplier details.
Not insufficient. If you can see the data here, we have only S1 and S2. S1 and S2 is repeating in all the columns for now, right?
Okay.
So about suppliers, we have only supplier ID, supplier name, and manufacturer name. These three
Yes,
columns will comes under supplier details.
Okay.
So what I'm doing here, I'm maintaining common columns, right? So I can relate the data. So you are saying the data is missing here, but data is not missing. Whatever your question will be, we can relate to that. As I said, this is my order ID. If I want to know what is the supplier ID for customer ID.
Here we are relating all these three of tables, right? Like customer detail, product detail, and supplier detail.
Correct.
In order to answer our query, we will be going to identify the taking this all the three tables.
Correct.
Okay, got it, madam. And the second doubt is in MySQL only RDBMS is we can work on, or non-relational for non-relation data we will not be able to work.
Yes, we will work on RDBMS only. All the data all the tables will be related to each other.
Okay, not
unrelated. We will discuss about that detailing in the later classes also. As I'm showing like this, I just added this point here, but we have a separate concept on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I hope it is clear for you. Basically, we are relating all this table. The only thing is that we need to maintain the common column. If I remove the supplier ID from this table, I cannot relate this table with the supplier details table.
Correct.
The same way, Yeah, in the same way in SQL also, whenever we want to relate the tables, whenever we want to display the data from the tables, from the multiple tables. See, I have table 1, table 2, and table 3. If I want to display some information by joining or by using all the three tables, definitely there should be some common column between the three tables, so that only I can relate the data.
Correct. Got it, ma'am.
In going forward, we will get, basically the concept is called as joins. We will learn very detailedly at that point. For now, just try to understand
Okay.
like this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is the, yeah, you're welcome. So this is the problem we will face in the Excel file, that is data redundancy. In Excel file, as we will store all the data together. So whenever we are dealing with the big data, if you store the data in the like this, in the Excel file, the data will be repeated. So to get rid of this problem, we introduced databases and we divided the big data or the large data into the smaller tables. This concept is called as normalization. We will see about this in the later class. I don't want to, talk more technically in this class.
Got it.
Yeah, we will divide the data and we will relate the data so that we can get rid of this data redundancy problem. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Next, last limitation is data integrity. Data integrity is nothing but, if you can see, if I store the data in the Excel file, in place of product ID P3, if I store anything randomly, suppose if I'm storing hello here, I'm storing hi here. If I store anything randomly, it is allowing me to store that. Basically, this is not the product ID. Let's talk about order date. In order date, obviously, the data should be in the form of date. Instead of that, if I write anything, it is allowing me to enter. It is not throwing me any error. It is not stating, okay, this is order date, you need to store only date while you are storing some other words. Correct? If I store intentionally or without, by mistakenly also, if I store any wrong data or irrelevant data, Excel won't throw an error. It will allow us to enter the data. This is the biggest drawback of Excel, right? Our system should be such robust. If I enter any wrong data or irrelevant data, it should throw me error stating you are entering wrong data. Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So that is the term, that problem we will call it as data integrity. Okay. Here in SQL, we will get rid of this problem. If we are storing any irrelevant data, SQL won't allow us to enter. It will throw an error. Okay. Particularly if I talk about this kind of data. See, if I am talking about in order ID, I'm entering any random data. It's not about the date data type, right? So, I mean, it's not date. I'm not entering date. I'm entering some random words here. So this is called as the concept here, which to get rid of this problem in SQL, we will use a concept called as data types. We will see what is data types in the coming sessions. But for now, just understand, if I enter any, unusual data or any irrelevant data, Excel won't throws me error. It will, it will just allow me to enter the data. This is also one of the biggest issue with the Excel. And all these things which are discussed now, these are all the problems of Excel or limitations of Excel. We are going to solve these limitations by using the databases. That is data limit, performance issue, accessibility of the data. We can access the data very easily. Whether it is a big data also, we can access the data very easily in SQL. Data redundancy, as we saw just now, wastage of memory, and data integrity. So this all problems will be overcome by using SQL. Okay. And let's see eventually in our next sessions, let's see how we will, overcome all these problems in SQL. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
Great. This is okay. Thank you. So this is about the limitations of Excel and how we will overcome that with the SQL. So that is the reason, as though we have many forms of data, though we can save the data in Excel file, text file, and like this, those we have many formats. As we are facing this kind of problems, we introduced databases. There should be, as we are as we will deal with the big data in real time, there should be, a perfect thing to store and manage the data, right? That is the reason we are using databases. Okay. So with this, let's start understanding, let me show you the user interface of MySQL, and let's see how we will create the database. Okay. So once we are completed with our demo sessions, I will show you the installation process of MySQL. For now, I'm just opening MySQL directly. Whenever I open the MySQL, this will be my first page. Here you can see something called as local instance. I need to click here. Then automatically it will be redirected to here. Okay, this will be the user interface of MySQL. Okay, so these are all already my open files. This is the place where we can write the queries, or we can write the SQL statements. Okay, basically, if you can see here, you can see here something called as schemas, right? Here, as I said you previously, we will store the databases inside the schemas, right? So here you can see the schema. Inside the schema, these are all the list of databases available. Okay, these are all the databases. By default, for the first time, whenever we are using MySQL, we will have only sys database. That will be the default databases. And after, whenever we created any database, you can see the list of databases here. Okay, this is the list of databases. And whenever you install the MySQL tool at the starting, after installation, you will be in the administration page here. I will show you this whenever I'm showing the installation process also. But for the first time, as I already opened these files here, nothing. Let's do something. Let me close all these files. Okay. So for the first time, when you install the MySQL, you will be in this administration tab. You can see here. Okay. So you cannot see anything about the schemas or databases here. What you need to do, you need to toggle to the schemas tab here. We can see administration and schemas here. We need to click the schemas, then only you can able to see this one. This is basically called as schemas, where we can see the list of databases. By default, we will have only sys database. These are all, once you created any database, you can see the list of all the available databases here. Okay, and if you see, there is one symbol here, like this. The first one, SQL plus, right? First symbol. If we want to open a new editable page, we need to click here. So if I click this one page will be opened here. Here only I can write all the SQL queries. Or else, even we have, this is the menu bar, we have file option here. From the file also, we can click on new query tab. If I click like this, this is also, by this way also, I can open my query tab. This is the place where we will write all the queries. Directly, we can click this first symbol here. Or else, from the file, new query tab. Okay. And if you observe, here we are having some of the options, like this one, file option, right? This is used to open any already saved file. Suppose I wrote some coding here. Okay, after writing something, I saved this file. To save this file, I need to click this option. We have, you can see save button here. After writing any code, if I want to save, I will click just this option, something like how we will save any documents only. I will click on this option and I'll give some name and I will save that file. That file will be stored in our laptops or systems according, it's normally when in which location we want to save, we can save the files. Okay. Once we saved the files, if I want to open any already saved file, I need to click this folder option, the first icon here. Okay. See, if I can click here, see, it is allowing me to open any of the saved files from my laptop. This is the files which of, my current batch. I already have one batch at 7 to 8 p.m. IST. In that batch, I finished this much concepts and, concept wise, I will save the files. And after each class, I will send these files to you. Okay. So if like this, if we save any file and if we want to open that file, so we need to click this option, this folder option. It will allow us to select the file from our laptop. For example, see, joins once. I need to click here. I need to click on open. Then I can able to see the file here, right? Basically, this is how I will, give you the notes. I will, while explaining only, I will give you the theory part also. Like while explaining you only, I will write the theory part here. And going forward, we'll write all the syntaxes here. Whatever I explain in my class, everything, I won't copy paste any data. I will write every syntax manually so that you can understand very clearly. And, I don't believe in sending theory notes separately and code separately. If I want, I can, even save this in the form of any, Word document. But instead of whenever you are revising your concepts, instead of revising the things from the two different sources, if I can able to store everything here, you can just access this file. You can see the theory part. Along with that, the related codes also you can see from here only. That's the reason I will just maintain everything in this files only. And once any topic is finished, daily wise, I will upload all these files to you. This will be something like notes to you. Okay. So, okay, let's get into the topic. So this is how, if we want to open already saved files, we need to click here and we need to select like this. Okay. And the third option, you can see third option here, some ignite button. Here, if after writing any SQL statements, if we want to execute that, we need to click this one. Okay, the third icon here. After writing any SQL statement, to execute that, we need to click this. Okay. So, and this for now, this is enough. Going forward, we will see if, any other options, or we have made toolbar here. We will learn about everything going forward. For now, this is enough for you. This is the list of databases, and to open any file, we need to click this. To save the file, we need to click this. To execute, we need to click this. Okay. And to open a new editable page, we need to click from here. Okay, I hope it is clear for you. If it is clear, we will start creating any database. Okay, so let's create any database. How to create the database in a sense. I hope this is visible for you. Before creating database, let me tell you some points here quickly. As we already saw, SQL is nothing but structured query language, right? Okay, and SQL is case insensitive. Okay, we can use uppercase or lowercase, no problem. It is case insensitive. Okay, and here you can see I'm writing all the things inside by writing like this. The two hyphen, this one. This is basically called as comments. If we want to write any comments, we can write like this. Okay. That means whatever I write inside this is non-executable. If I want to write any notes, or whenever I'm dealing with the real-time data, if I want to, write anything there, or if I wrote any mistake, or if I don't want that line to be executed, I can simply write it like this. Okay. This is called as comments. So basically what I will do, all the theory part, I will write it like this only inside the comments, as that is not executable. Okay. So yeah, let's see how to create database. And the syntax for creating the database is create database name. Okay. This is the syntax to create the database. Syntax is nothing but the format. Okay. We need to follow particular formats in order to, create the SQL queries. That we will call it as syntax. So to create any database, the syntax will be like this: create database name. Let's see one example. Let's create one database. That is create database. We need to give any database names. So we are not supposed to give the same database name which is already available. So I need to give some new name. Here I already have DURGASOFT 1 and 2. Let me write it as DURGASOFT 3. Okay. So I'm giving some database called as DURGASOFT 3 here. Okay. And I will select this one more point here. In MySQL, semicolon is optional. Okay. Generally what it happens, we have many other tools, right? Like in SQL Server or Oracle SQL, after writing every SQL statement, we need to write semicolon in SQL Server. Right, SQL. So in SQL, in SQL servers or SQL, Oracle SQLs, we need to write semicolon at the end of each SQL statement. But here in MySQL, semicolon is optional. If we write also, it will execute. If we don't write also, it will execute. Okay. So what I'm doing here, I just wrote the syntax of creating the databases. I'm creating create database DURGASOFT 3. Now what I need to do, I will select this and I will execute this. As I said, this is the icon. This is the ignite button for the execution. For executing, we need to click this button. So I'm just clicking this, and you can see at the bottom, we can see the output. If we get the green tick, it indicates that, our
Executed.
yes, it's executed successfully. If we get any errors, we can able to see the errors also here. It will it will show us the red color cross mark instead of this green color.
Sorry
tick
to
mark.
interrupt you.
Yes, please.
Row 8, what is this full stop, ma'am, after 8?
It's not the full stop actually. This is, as I'm using the paint, that one, the blue color icon dot, it came.
Okay, so it's not written here.
Yeah,
Actually.
it's not written. It's not written.
And in row 10th, this X mark, into mark?
Into mark, you can ignore this into marks here. Sometimes it will come like that. We can ignore this. But if we can see same into mark in the bottom in the output, that indicates the error. But here sometimes it happens.
Okay.
You can ignore that.
Okay.
All right. So this is how we will create the database. And after creating the database, if we want to see this database name here, what we need to do, we need to refresh the schema. Here you can see some refresh option. If I refresh the schema here, DURGASOFT 3 is not available here. Whenever I'm refreshing the schema, I got DURGASOFT 3. Okay. This is how we will create the database. And the next thing is we need to activate the database. Activate the database in the sense, see, I have many databases here. If I simply write any query here, and if I execute, it will throw me an error because SQL won't understand in which database it should execute that particular statement. Okay, I repeat, if I write any SQL statement directly here and if I execute, first of all, without activating the database, if I execute any SQL statement, I will get an error because SQL will get confused that in which database should it execute that SQL statement. So first of all, we need to activate the database. You can see here I have some databases here, the list of databases, and all of them are, in normal light color. We need to activate the database. Suppose I just created DURGASOFT 3 database. Now I need to activate this database. To do that, we will use command. Okay. And the syntax will be like use database name, sorry. The syntax will be like use database name. So I can directly write it as use DURGASOFT 3. Okay. I'm executing this now. Okay, I'm selecting this use DURGASOFT 3 to activate the database. Now you can observe all these are it is visible normally. Immediately when I'm executing this, our DURGASOFT 3 database got into bold characters, right? We can see dark black here. That means this indicates this database is currently activated. What are all the SQL statements we are going to write now? All those statements will store inside this database only. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, sure.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Great. So this is how we will activate the database, and every time we need to remember this thing. Suppose if any of the database is, none of the database is in activation, it will throw me an error. But if, if I activated DURGASOFT 3 database, going forward, I will write some queries and suddenly I wanted to, write any query inside this DURGASOFT. Without activating DURGASOFT database, the other database, if I write the query, it will get stored or it will get, executed in this database only. We need to activate the database every time whenever we want to use that particular database. Okay. I hope this is clear. So this is how we will create the database and this is how we will activate the database. How to create after activating the data, after creating the database, the next step is to create tables. Okay. Tomorrow we will see how we will create the tables. Okay. And one more thing I wanted to tell you is that in our course, this course is of 40 days. Okay. The duration is of 40 days. And in this course, I will explain each and every concept with the real-time database only. Many of the institutes out there, they will explain with the normal basic data, like, employees data, students data, with the basic data, they will explain all the concepts. But here, I will explain everything with the real-time database. I will use movies database here, that is Netflix database. Okay, we all know Netflix is an OTT platform. We are going to learn everything, each and every concept here on the Netflix database only. The same database can be used for any of the OTT platforms like Hotstar or Amazon Prime, like that. And it's completely about the movies database. We are going to learn each and every concept on this movies database only. You can see here we have many tables here. Inside this database, I am going to explain everything on this database only. And I already shown in yesterday. I don't remember actually. Did I show you the course content in yesterday's class?
No, madam.
Okay, let me show you quickly. Give me just 1 second. So this is the course content of MySQL, which we are going to learn in this course. And the course fees, usually before we used to charge 6,000, but from the last batch we are charging only 2,000. Okay, with it only the course fees is only 2,000, and the course duration is 40 days. I will teach all the concepts which I'm going to show you now, that too with the real-time movies or Netflix database. Okay, and the course content is that introduction to database and SQL, limitations of Excel, creation of database and tables. Up to here we finished, right? Introduction is done, limitations are done, creation of database is done, tables we'll see tomorrow. Then once our demo classes are done, I will show you the installation process of MySQL. Then here comes with the data types concept, SQL commands. These are all the available sub languages, or I can call it as SQL commands. We will learn each and every SQL commands very detailedly. Then there is a concept called as integrity constraint. This is a select clause, where clause. Till here, I can say these are all the basic commands. Okay. Now, after finishing this, I will explain all these basic commands with the help of basic data only, like maybe like employees table or departments table, like that. Once we are done with all these concepts, I will show you the live project here, that is Netflix database or movies database. I will explain you about that project. I will give you that database and I will help you to, restore this database in your laptops. After that, the main concepts will start. Order by clause, SQL basic operators, range operator, membership operator, distant clause, limit clause. We have some wildcards inside the limit clause. And we have many functions like numerical function, character function, date type, date functions, temporal function, it's not this. Up-to-date functions. Then we have something called as joins concept. From here, I can see till here, the basics of SQL will be finished. From joins, advanced SQL will be started. Joins is the most important concept. If you attend any of the interview, mostly 80% of the questions they will ask you on joins only. Okay, in real time also, mostly we will work on joins only. So this we have many joins. We will learn detailedly about the joins by solving many examples. Then we will have a concept called as regular expressions. For normal SQL developer, regular expression is, we will use regular expressions, but particularly if you are planning to get into data analytics field, again, this will be the most important concept. After joins, we will mostly use regular expressions into data analyst, in data analyst domain. Okay. Next, we have group by clause, having clause, aggregation clause, subqueries. We have two types of subqueries. Then comes with the normalization concept. We will discuss all about the normal forms, ER diagrams, denormalization. Then we have some concept called as CTEs, common table expressions, then views, index, temporary tables, and store procedure. With this, our course will be done. And after this, I will explain some important interview questions. Okay. So this is about our course content. This is all the topics which we are going to cover in our course, along with, as I said, we will use Netflix database here. Okay. And we will solve everything. I won't literally copy the code. I will write each and every syntax manually in the class so that you can understand very easily. Okay. So yeah, this is about it. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
That's all, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So,
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
What's the difference between various different databases like Oracle, Postgres, or Cosmos DB?
There won't be much differences. Okay, if I talk about MySQL and SQL Server like that, or Oracle SQL, we don't have much differences. Only small differences, as I said previously. In SQL Server, we need to use a colon at the end for sure. That semicolon at the end for sure. In MySQL, no need of using semicolon, like that. Very small differences. If you learn this MySQL, even you can try. You can apply the same things in SQL Server also. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and as our admin people already posted the details in the chat, please check that. Once again, I'm posting the message. Please register yourself in the course if you are interested. Okay. And if anyone is looking forward to transit your career into data analytics, I recently, I just finished 2 classes. I recently started Tableau class at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST. If anyone is interested to learn Tableau parallelly, you can attend that session as well. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I'm interested, but how do I do that? I will be able to cope up with this because I'm a working professional.
Okay, so it's completely about, I don't know how much time you will, you'll be working, and basically Tableau is a very simple language, no coding will be involved. If you just listen to the classes, you can easily understandable. And SQL is the backbone of Tableau. You need to know the basic concepts. As I shown you here, up to joins, you need to know the SQL to understand Tableau easily. This joins concept and one more thing in along with the Tableau, we are also providing SQL Server there for free. I will tell the basics of SQL Server there up to joins. Okay, so you can parallelly, if you can manage, you can parallelly attend MySQL and Tableau classes, no problem. You can understand
Is it
both of
what
them.
time?
8 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST. And if you
Okay.
cannot make this batch, we will create, maybe after 1 month, we will launch one more batch at that time also. I mean, after learning MySQL, you can learn Tableau also. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. But again, if you can make time, you can you can manage it parallelly as well. But the only thing is for Tableau, we will charge 10,000, but only for this batch, which I started 2 days back, we are, DURGASOFT people is offering some good offer. We are just, the course fees is for 6,000 only for this batch. It's not going to repeat for the next batches. The fees will be 10,000, but we will regularly, we will start new batches. If you think you cannot manage parallelly two subjects, first listen SQL, then learn Tableau, like that. Okay.
Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys, if everything is okay, let's meet in tomorrow's class.
Madam, can you share the content?
Of course, as actually you attended yesterday's class, right? I hope you already got a mail from the admin team. In that, they will provide you the course content.
Okay.
Please check that. Or else today also you will get the mail. Whoever attended the classes today, you will get a mail from the admin team. In that, you will find yesterday's demo class video and the course content also. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. Let's meet tomorrow.
One quick question.
Yes, please.
So on a daily basis, we'll be getting an email of the recorded session. Is that right? Is my understanding correct?
Yes, correct.
Got it. Also, one small thing. Is this class only online or do we have this offline also available?
No, I personally, I don't teach offline classes. I don't know whether any other, trainers are teaching SQL offline in DURGASOFT, but I will teach only in online.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And, as I said, the course is of 40 days and you will get daily wise daily wise recordings. The class recordings, you will, the recordings will be uploaded in a link and the link will be shared to you once you got registered. If you miss any class also, you can watch the recordings. And if you can have any doubts, you can ask me in the following session. And as I've shown you just now some SQL files, I will send all those files once on the daily basis, I will upload that files in the same link so that you can access the files from there. You can download and you can save it. And for videos, you will have the access for the 6 months.
Okay, got it. Also, do we get few example tasks to work on?
Yes. As you can, I don't know whether you observed or not. I will teach every concepts by solving the examples only. So if you can see here in joins is just yesterday only we started. Let me open another file and I'll show you. Basically, we will solve examples along with the questions. I will give many examples. I will ask the questions and I will write the answers. This is the basic concepts. You can see. We will write the. I will give you the exam. Can you see count of unique staff ID? I will give you the questions and I will say explain you the syntax. You can see here total payment collected by staff ID. Like that. In the complete Maven movies, this Netflix database only, we will solve. I will give you the questions and answers so that it will be helpful for you as examples.
Okay, got it. So we'll have multiple examples to work on, right? Even we can have few examples to work on and then get back to you if we have any doubts on that.
Yes. Actually, in the class itself, I will discuss every question. First, if I think, I already explained it sufficient, I will ask you to answer the question. Like that, I will keep the session interactive. I will make you to answer the question and I will write the queries. Like that it happens. Especially for joins concept, I will give you some more examples. Whatever we discussed in the class, in the extra questions also, I will give you mainly in the joins concept because that is the most important concept. Okay.
Got it. So that is what I had a doubt. So if we have more examples, then we could
correct. Accordingly,
have a
you know,
better clarity.
in some batches, some students will ask more accordingly to the concepts or accordingly to the students. I will give the examples basically. But for joins, I will give definitely because we need to practice a lot on joins concept, and it is an important concept. So like that. Okay.
Got it. Also, one last doubt.
Yes, please.
Consider after the class if we are practicing and we have a doubt. So all the doubts will be answered in the next class when we have it, or do we have any other option?
In the classes only. Whenever you ask me, like not only the yesterday's concept, you need to ask me today, not like that. In the class hours only, I will answer your questions whenever you want. At any time, you can ask me any doubt, but in the class hours only.
Okay, got it. And the class duration is an hour, right? Every day?
Yes. 8 AM to 9 AM.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's meet in tomorrow's class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.